Welcome to the video on whether you should buy a car right before unemployment hits. First, we will frame the problem. Then we will walk through decision rules, financing strategy, vehicle selection, and a practical step-by-step plan. Finally, we will test your understanding with a short quiz and wrap up with key takeaways. Here is our agenda. To begin, we will cover the context and the core rule. Next, we will compare debt versus cash. After that, we will challenge reliability myths and use a decision flowchart. Then, we will walk through step-by-step buying instructions, compare costs, build a budget, outline a transition plan, and conclude with a quiz and answers. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, legal, or tax advice. Therefore, before you make any decisions, please consult a licensed professional who understands your specific situation. Let's set the context. If you're facing imminent unemployment, you are balancing two priorities. On one hand, you need mobility to interview, network, and remain employable. On the other hand, you must preserve liquidity, because cash is your survival tool during a job search. Consequently, every dollar you commit to a car is a dollar you cannot use for rent, food, insurance, or job search expenses. Now, let's establish the core rule. Preserve liquidity. During periods of uncertainty, cash is king. Your emergency fund is designed to support your essential expenses for months, potentially 10 or more. Therefore, avoid using a large lump sum, like 30% of your savings, on a depreciating asset such as a car. Mobility still matters, but your survival depends on liquidity. Furthermore, apply for unemployment benefits immediately once you qualify so you can extend your runway. This flowchart lays out the decision sequence. First, if your current car is reliable and safe, the best move is to keep it and preserve cash. However, if it is not reliable, you must decide whether a car is truly necessary for your job search and daily life. If it is not necessary, delay the purchase and use public transit or rideshare temporarily. If it is necessary, the next question is whether you are still employed. If you are, consider seeking financing with no prepayment penalty, target a $5,000 to $10,000 reliable used car, and insist on a pre-purchase inspection. If you are no longer employed, consider the smallest safe cash outlay and still complete a thorough inspection. In every branch, the objective remains the same. Preserve liquidity, prioritize your runway, and reassess monthly. Avoid luxury. Choose models with proven reliability, and maintain adequate insurance and your emergency fund. Next, let's discuss the controversial move, choosing debt over depleting your emergency fund. The reasoning is straightforward. While you are still employed, you can access financing more easily and at better rates. Select a loan with no prepayment penalties so you retain flexibility. Keep the monthly payment modest, ideally no more than 8 to 10% of your take-home pay while you are still working. If you secure new employment quickly, you can prepay the loan. If unemployment lasts longer, you will be grateful that you preserved your cash for essentials. Importantly, never stretch for luxury. Buy only enough car to reliably preserve mobility. Let's compare cash versus financing. A cash purchase creates a large upfront cost, which shortens your financial runway, though it eliminates monthly payments. However, if your job search takes longer than expected, the reduced liquidity increases your risk. By contrast, a finance purchase requires a smaller upfront cost, preserves more runway, and adds a monthly payment to manage. The flexibility of a loan without a prepayment penalty allows you to minimize interest if you recover quickly, while still protecting your emergency fund if the search takes longer. Now let's challenge the reliability myth. Reliability is not solely about low mileage. It depends on the model's track record, maintenance history, and a thorough inspection. In a crisis buying scenario, target a $5,000 to $10,000 price range. Consider models like older Toyota Corolla or Camry, Honda Civic or Accord, Mazda 3 or 6, select Ford Fusion non-turbo trims, or older, well-kept Lexus ES or IS if you understand maintenance costs. Always get a pre-purchase inspection from an independent mechanic, which typically costs $100 to $200. Avoid turbocharged or sporty variants, complex infotainment or air suspensions, and other luxury maintenance traps. Verify maintenance records and prefer simple, naturally aspirated engines. Here is a practical step-by-step plan. First, define your transportation needs, including commuting, interviews, childcare, and safety. Second, if you plan to finance, lock financing while you are still employed, and make no prepayment penalty a priority. Third, set a firm budget cap in the $5,000 to $10,000 range, and consider the full out-the-door cost. Fourth, shortlist reliable models and search both locally and regionally to find value. Fifth, run VIN checks and avoid salvage or flood titles. Sixth, schedule a pre-purchase inspection with an independent mechanic before you commit. Seventh, negotiate using comparable listings and defects uncovered in the inspection, and be willing to walk away if the deal exceeds your budget. Eighth, maintain adequate insurance and complete registration. Ninth, after buying, perform baseline maintenance such as fluids, brakes, and tires. This pie chart illustrates a sample unemployment budget. Housing takes 40%, food 15%, insurance 10%, transportation 10%, utilities 10%, job search 10%, and miscellaneous 5%. While your percentages will vary, this emphasizes allocating a dedicated portion for job search costs while keeping transportation contained. Let's review a sample cash flow. With a cash purchase at $10,000, there is no monthly payment, and starting savings are $50,000. Essential monthly spending excluding the car is $3,500. Therefore, the total monthly outflow is $3,500, yielding roughly 14.3 months of runway. With a financed purchase, assume $2,000 upfront and a $240 monthly payment. The total monthly outflow becomes $3,740. The runway calculation is about 12.7 months if you treat the outflow as fixed, but you retain approximately $8,000 more cash in the early months, which can be crucial if unemployment lasts longer or emergencies arise. These are illustrative numbers. Adjust to your situation. Here is a Markdown-style quick reference. First, 3 fast rules. Keep your cash, finance only while you are still employed with no prepayment penalty, and target a $5,000 to $10,000 car with a mandatory pre-purchase inspection. Next, avoid luxury, complex technology, and turbo or sport trims, and do not rationalize an expensive car through gig work. Finally, take these actions: file for benefits early, budget for interviews and certifications, and complete baseline maintenance after purchase. This timeline shows a practical plan. In week 1, assess transportation needs, pre-qualify for financing, and set your budget. In week 2, shortlist models, search listings, and schedule inspections. In week 3, perform inspections, negotiate, and complete the purchase if appropriate. In week 4, handle baseline maintenance, adjust insurance, and finalize your unemployment budget. During weeks 5 through 8, focus on an aggressive job search, networking, and any quick certifications, while reviewing your runway weekly and adjusting expenses. Reassess liquidity at the end of each month. Some people justify an expensive vehicle purchase by planning to use it for gig work. However, gig work adds significant mileage and wear, eroding resale value, and increasing maintenance costs. After accounting for fuel, tires, brakes, and insurance, net earnings are often lower than expected. Moreover, the risk of mechanical failure rises precisely when you can least afford it. Instead, allocate funds for interviews, travel, and skills development to accelerate reemployment. Quiz time. Which approach best preserves your liquidity during imminent unemployment? Option A. Pay cash and reduce monthly expenses to zero. Option B. Finance a modest car while employed with no prepayment penalty. Option C. Lease a new luxury car to keep maintenance low. Option D. Buy nothing and rely on gig work to fund a purchase later. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is Option B. Financing a modest, reliable used car while still employed with no prepayment penalty preserves your cash. If you are reemployed quickly, you can prepay the loan, and if unemployment lasts, you retain your runway. Second quiz question. In a crisis buy scenario, what is a sensible target vehicle budget? Option A. Under $5,000 only. Option B. $5,000 to $10,000 for proven reliable models with a pre-purchase inspection. Option C. $12,000 to $15,000 under 100,000 miles only. Option D. Over $20,000 to ensure quality. You may pause the video now to consider your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is Option B. Targeting $5,000 to $10,000 minimizes the cash outlay while retaining reliability. especially when combined with a pre-purchase inspection. Here are the key takeaways. Preserve liquidity. If a car is necessary, finance modestly while you are still employed, and insist on no prepayment penalty. Target $5,000 to $10,000 reliable models, and always obtain a pre-purchase inspection. Do not justify an expensive vehicle with gig work. Budget specifically for job search activities. Reassess your situation monthly and adjust quickly. To summarize, liquidity is your lifeline. If a car is necessary, finance it smartly while you are still employed. Choose simple, proven reliability, and avoid luxury. Protect your financial runway and invest in activities that move you toward your next job. Thank you for watching. Before you go, please like, share, and subscribe. Finally, let us know your plan or your questions in the comments so we can help you get back on the road as efficiently as possible.